Go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sports Card Advantage podcast. It is February 17th, 9:15 p.m. when we are recording episode number 47. As always, I am joined by my partner in crime, Mr. Bunk. What's going on, buddy?
Still working on my intro, a new one for you. So I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks, buddy. That's all the fans were waiting for. I'm great, buddy. How are you? That's it. We didn't need anything fancy. All right. We got another hodgepodge of an episode for you guys today. Unfortunately, or fortunately, there's no drama or any like major subjects to be talking about. So we have a mixed bag of stuff, some personal experience, and then also some product releases that coming up for the baseball season. Bunk's gonna walk through. As always, if you have questions for the show, send us an email, info@sportscardadvantage.com. Follow us on social media, SportsCardADVTG on Twitter and Instagram. And let's kick it off. Topps 2022 flagship. Is this what, part one or episode
Series one,
one?
guy.
Series one. There you go. Thanks for
Close,
filling
close.
in filling that in. So the quick thing that jumps out at me and everything that the things that people have been posting, memeing, etc. on social media is basically one of the parallels for this basically I've said it 17 fucking times already, but we'll keep it moving. Topps copied the Panini downtown design for the most part and just threw it in the box. So with that, I will turn it over to you to give us a rundown on Topps 2022 Series 1, some of the highlights, some of your initial opinions. I know you've actually done some statistical research for the fine folks this week on this, so you can enlighten us and drop some baseball knowledge on everybody.
Well, Twitter provided all the statistical research. I just had to go through it and make sure people knew how to do math a little bit.
It's the effort that counts, guy. The effort that counts.
Yeah, guy. I mean, we can jump back to the what are they? The home field advantage cards. I mean, it is a straight rip off of Panini. So let's not sugarcoat it. It's exactly a downtown card, just in a Topps product. Um, they look cool as hell, like
Yeah.
downtowns do.
So did the
Um,
downtowns.
However, I have a feeling there are going to be way more home field advantages print run than people realize. They will not. I don't think they're going to be considered a case hit like the downtowns are. I think the pack odds on them are like 1 in 288, and we'll get into this in a second. But with the apparent massive spike in base card production, 1 in 288 packs, that may work out to it's only a 10 card set, I think. So that may work out. There might be a couple thousand each of these home field advantages. So if you have one, sell it now.
All right. So Bunk's about to go Bill Nye the Science Guy on you and drop some statistical stuff here as far as some research that he did in regards to the printing. It definitely seems like from the initial look at it, Topps broke the printer on this one, and that may have been a byproduct of they knew that the end was near for them and that they were potentially getting bought out. So they printed the shit out of this. So walk us through some of what those numbers look like.
Yeah, I mean the graphic that's been going around is a year over year hobby, pack odds at hobby boxes from 2019 to 2022. I'm sure some of you have seen it. For the basic easiest example I can give you is in 2019 getting a gold card, which would the ones at 2000, 2020, 2019, blah blah blah. Uh, they fell at 1 in 5 packs. So in a 24 pack box, you're do the math. You're looking at 4 or 5. You're lucky. Um, and now you're not even guaranteed one. They're 1 in 38 packs. Hobby boxes are 24 packs, and that is the best odds on a parallel in the whole friggin' box. So technically, all their verbiage about you're not guaranteed crap terms of parallel. You may not get a parallel in these boxes
So
at
they
those specs.
did they overprint the base and then underprint everything else?
Well, that's the other way. That's the yeah. So I think there's going to be like someone was estimating there's going to be over 1 million copies of each base card.
That's crazy.
So in order to see these inserts and the parallels and come up with the projected odds that they did, you can do the backwards math because they provide you with the platinum, the one of one data. So it's a 330 card set. You take the odds on the platinums, and you can do some math on how many packs, boxes, etc. Now, listen, some of the inserts and parallels, like the black in the parallels are only exclusive to jumbos, I
Hmm.
believe, and they're not in retail. Some things are in all formats, so it's a little fuzzy on how many packs there are out there. But if the lowest pack odd of all the numbered cards is 1 in 38, and there's 24 packs in a box, figure it out.
Yeah, you got to buy 2 boxes in order to get one.
Yeah, and then I mean, there were days where years ago you'd have 7, 8, 9 of these cards in every box. Well, and then that gives you better odds that maybe one of them was a nice veteran or a nice rookie card instead of a 28-year-old relief pitcher.
So the question is there are there also more parallels? So they have more total parallels, but there's less of them in each box.
More total parallels, but less than
So
no.
like,
It's the same list. It's the same list. They've got the gold, the advanced stats, the vintage stock, which are at a 99. The blacks that go up one every year. You got your Independence Days, your Mothers and Fathers Days, both out of 50. Your Memorial Day camo to 25. Your Platinums 101. And then they have their card variations, and some of them have just the short print version, and some of them have the super short print
so
version.
wouldn't that
But
make
it's the same. It's the same odds. I mean, the same parallels.
so wouldn't it make sense that obviously, for base cards they're going to be worth a lot less, but wouldn't some of those parallels be worth more money because there's less of them? The odds are less of getting them.
They're harder to get, but they're the same scarcity. They're still numbered what they're numbered to. They're just harder to get. So maybe the perception may be there's less of them, but
Oh, so
they're
they
still
so they printed so if there was 1 in 5 last year and it's 1 in 38 this year, they printed seven
that
times more
many
product.
that many more base cards in order
Aha.
to get all the parallels in there. Yes.
All
That's
right.
that's why the estimates on each base card is significant. And
Aha.
it's also why, and we had this discussion a month ago with the whole controversy over will Wander's Bowman Best card be the preferred card from 2021 versus his 2022 Topps card. Now, granted, when Topps Chrome comes out, that's another story. But the initial sales on Wander's Bowman's Best cards were up over $100. People, you could pick up Wander's right now for 20 or less if you're lucky of these paper base because there's so many. Just open a couple packs, you're probably gonna pull one.
And wasn't it ridiculous? Wasn't there some sort of Wander card that was selling for like $20,000 already out of
Yeah, it's
this?
either the Mother's Day or the Father's Day, but it was at a 50, and I saw it was up to 20K.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And then what about the price of
So
22 Series 1 compared to last year?
I don't know compared to last year, but here's where we get into maybe a couple of the positives for you, non flippers out there. Building sets, going to be no problem. And Tops was offering these boxes for $80 plus shipping, which isn't bad at all. So the nice thing here, you got more collectors potentially, lower entry point, so it's got some of the things we're looking for. You have a lot of different things you can pull out of it. The problem is you probably got to buy a bunch more boxes than you wanted to maybe pull what you want.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it potentially could be a product for the kids, quote unquote, because you can buy it relatively cheaply. You can rip it with your kids, and you have the opportunity for them to get all their favorite players pretty easily.
A lot of dudes my age will be building this set, guy. But yes, it's for the kids. But listen,
Oh, I'm
listen.
sorry. Excuse me. For the kids and the guys your age that are building sets. I was going to use other jokes and references to that, but you're not a virgin living in your mom's basement, so that obviously does not apply here.
So yeah, so it's good. So potentially more collectors here, maybe more set building, gonna be easier to build sets. But listen, there's a bigger audience and a bigger demand right now than there was. Tops knows that. So why should they leave money behind? So
Yeah.
they printed more.
As I said, they also knew that they may be on their way out the door, so let's run this printer into the ground and print as much as we can and make as much as we can while we can.
But if you get even more people in the door, excited by upcoming tops products because they're in on flagship tops at a good price, then you'll get a few more of those people. You get new clients moving forward trying to grab other stuff.
And like we talked about last week, this is the first official Wander card with the
Rookie
RC
card
stamp on it.
actually on the card and not on the checklist. Correct.
Yeah. Okay. And obviously that's a big deal for people as well.
Yep.
Um,
And it's only $20.
yeah. Any
Okay.
other any other highlights from 2022 Topps Series 1?
Eh, I mean, the inserts are blah. I mean, they brought back an insert called Generation Now. That was from the late 2000s. They were ugly as hell in the late 2000s. So I have to give them credit. This year's version looks a little nicer. But they're not. They're not selling. I just saw somebody selling a complete set of 30 earlier today for $50 or something like that.
So
But they
they
look
already
much nicer.
bought enough product and built a complete set of the
Well, so two things. Some people, yes, may have done that, but a lot of your guys that order, or they're a lot, they know they're allotted cases. They will pre-sale. They will pre-sale sets. They'll pre-sale insert sets because they know based on the number of cases they're getting, they're likely going to be able to build, X number of the base, certain inserts, etc. And they'll pre-sell them ahead of time. Yeah. So I
uh,
don't know if it was a pre-sale, but it wouldn't shock me if someone had already sorted that
so
already.
people buy cases and then literally rip them all and then build out sets and then sell the sets.
100%. There's people that'll sell those. There's people who sell 20, 30 sets before release day because
Interesting.
they trust the seller. They know the seller's getting 120 cases or whatever it is, and the seller knows they're going to be able to make that many sets based on past history, odds, etc. And they pre-sell the sets. And then, yeah, it's a lot of work because they're hand collating everything.
Yeah, it sounds super exciting. Um, um, I mean, I don't know. I just, to me, I guess it's different. It, 1 and 1 does not equal 2 here, and you have obviously Wander's a big deal, but at the same time, he seems like he's the only rookie in the set, so it's like you that excited about buying a set, for when there's like one decent rookie. I mean, or is it just people just collect Topps Series 1 and every year they have a set and they just put it in a box and throw it on a shelf?
I think the latter, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, listen, like I said, the initial final values on the Wanderers are about $20. So the people who bought in on some probably pricey pick your teams on the Rays, thinking that these cards were going to sell like Bowman's Best did early on, are probably a little upset with themselves.
Yeah, in an $80 box, even if you get a Wander or two, you're probably still not making your $80 back.
No, but listen, anytime you buy a box, I mean, you really shouldn't go into it saying that's. I mean, you hope you make your money back, but you can't expect it. But I'm talking about you're buying into a break. You're buying into a 6 box break,
Yeah.
and you're paying 100 something dollars for just raise cards. Um, you thought you might clean up if you get a handful of those. You're definitely not,
Yeah. Good to
and they're
know.
going to come down more because there's going to be so many listed that you're going to be able to get these things probably for a couple weeks, even lower.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the price is so low that obviously nobody's really shipping it to PSA. I would imagine, and you know,
Well, and that's just it. The bulk days of shipping, $8 20 count lots of rookie cards they're gone.
yeah,
You're not doing that anymore. So I think that's also why some people are probably a little upset about the mass production. But you already knew that going in. The lowest you can get in is a $50 PSA. And I mean, are they going to come back a little lower and you're going to sit on these cards? But I don't think you're getting $8 again.
no, and I think that some people will send it off, but I mean, if it's 20 or less, ungraded, maybe it'll be 70 or 80. PSA 10, and you paid $50 to get it graded, so there's no money in it at this point.
No, yeah, yeah. That'll be curious to see in 2 months how many Wander graded cards there are from 2022 tops. I'm talking the base,
Yeah.
all the parallels and inserts and stuff. They'll probably go, but
Well, I think we've exceeded our baseball time for this week, so we're gonna
Ooh.
move this party right along here, unless you got anything else.
No, I'm good.
All right. So yeah, football season over. Super Bowl happened last weekend. Won a few bucks on the Rams, so that was nice. But the more important part of this is that we now move officially into football off season. So if anybody's been paying attention to card prices, you look at most Burrow cards, at least some of the higher end ones, and prices on those have already been cut by 30 to 50%. At least, if it's a super rare card, definitely not as much, but your common, more valuable cards, your Prism Silvers, your select, concourse field level, etc. Some of those, his silver PSA 9 got up to almost $1,000 now. It's already back down into the 475, 500 range. Obviously Burrow is going to be a ridiculously hot off-season commodity, but prices are still going to cool off at least for a little while. If there's a baseball agreement in place, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, baseball is going to be the focus for a little bit. So it's going to be your sweet spot for getting football in the off season, would have to be probably March and April. And then I think as you start to hit the draft, people will start to be milling around football a little bit. So I think if you're going to be looking for off-season deals, March is probably going to be your ideal sweet spot. We have a couple of targets for people to look for in the off season. Burrow has to be on the list. If you can get some stuff for him, there's a factor in play here too that the Bengals have the third highest cap space. So you have to figure they're going to spend every freaking dollar that they have on offensive line to help protect him. But otherwise, that offense is solid, and maybe they replace Eli Apple in the offseason as well. But you'd have to think that Burrow is going to be a strong play to go deep into the playoffs and potentially get back to the Super Bowl next year.
And what's nice about Burrow heading into next year is now that we're, a little further removed from all those, abnormal highs, from 2020, right? We always talk about the crazy boom with the in the middle of the pandemic. Now we have some data to show, okay, maybe here's where Burrow's ceiling is, and it's not maybe a product of that other stuff. So I'd feel really good going into the offseason buying Burrow at a certain price and kind of having a feel for where it may get to, and not have to worry too much about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and going into this, he was a rookie, and he was hurt, and then the off season, and so now it's really going to start to establish where his future value is going to go, and you got to try to find. Right now, I'm looking at a 2020 Mosaic Auto. Raw selling for 760. This thing peaked at 1400. You're and the but the previous range during the season was like 400 to $500. So this is a card, as far as if I'm looking for a Joe Burrow auto that looks good, this would be something that I would target. Trying to find a raw one of these. And if the PSA 10 price comes back down, PSA 9 price comes back down, you can look at this for like $1,000 to $1,200. Pops really low. PSA 9 is going to be less than $1,000. Um, good target for Burrow in the offseason to keep your eye on. His Prism Silver is always a good target to keep your eye on. You should be able to pick those up for $400 or $500 again. PSA 10s obviously a lot more, but it's definitely something to keep in mind because he's going to be hot.
What about his Super Bowl counterpart, Stafford? What are you thinking on him?
Well, the thought process here is that everybody's trying to see what Aaron Donald and Odell and all these guys are going to do. And I think if they come back and they bring everybody back, you also got to figure that they're going to be pretty damn difficult to beat. Woods comes back from injury. So if they bring Odell back, you have Odell, you have Woods, you have Cup, you have Akers for the full season because he missed most of last year with injury. Uh, that offense is going to be nasty. And, if Stafford can continue to rack up wins and regular season stats, he enters the top 10 for most statistical categories all time. And for whatever reason, they can go deep into the playoffs or get to another Super Bowl, which is very strongly possible because the NFC is awful.
Yeah.
You got to figure he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, that's been the interesting topic on sports radio this week is now the Hall of Fame conversations for Stafford coming up because at least he's got the ring on his resume. But yeah, I was looking at his Topps Chrome refractor rookie. There were a couple outliers, in and around the playoffs and Super Bowl, but I would say they were probably averaging the PSA 9 refractor probably $600 or so dollars. The last one already finished under 400 this past week, so they've already taken a pretty stiff beating. And one went as high at auction in the end of January at 1,400.
Yeah.
Who knows if they got paid for or not? But I'd say average they were $600-700 a piece, and they're trending down to be half that already.
Yeah, and I mean the thing with Stafford cards is we look at them, all the pops on them are low.
Super low.
So if you have budget and you want to take a shot on something that could retain its value through the season, and then if they make another playoff run, it spikes. And you are the type of person that isn't looking for the quick flip, and you're looking for potentially either collection for guys who could be in the Hall of Fame or, flipping at a proper time. All his stuff, I don't think any of his cards have pops over 500. I mean, his regular refractor PSA 10 is less than 100. His blue refractor PSA 10 is less than 50. And even on the base, his base PSA 10 is 122. This is the
Wow.
top 2009 Topps Chrome. So all his stuff is extremely limited. I understand what people are saying. The fact that he's never been that good and he's never won an MVP and he's never did this. He played in freaking Detroit. And other than the years he had Calvin Johnson, he basically had nobody to throw to. And they never had a team. Like they never had a team that was going to be any good. So, in my opinion, the dude's has one of the biggest hearts to ever play. He played through most any and all injuries, and now he's got a ring. And he has a chance to win another one next year because if Rodgers doesn't return to Green Bay and somehow moves to Denver or something, the NFC is barren as far as any strong teams that are going to contest the Rams.
Yeah, but I think you got to be ready to move quick because real quick, if something goes south for the Rams next year and they're not approaching or on track to get into that Super Bowl, his cards will die
Oh yeah,
for a while
absolutely.
until the end
Um,
of his career, etc.
if Odie and Donald, if Donald retires and Odie goes somewhere else and Von Miller retires potentially as well, that Rams.
Donald's running it back. I don't care what he says. He's coming back.
Well, I mean that's the thing. They can survive without Odie. If they get Donald and Von Miller back, their defense is intact, and for whatever reason Odie leaves for the money, they still have Woods, they still have Cup,
And
Van Jefferson, and so I would say that Donald and Von Miller are the important pieces, and then he's in play.
yeah, agreed.
The other one to keep an eye on, also who has strong potential for them to build a little bit better of a team around him, is Herbert. I mean, Herbert's come off two fantastic seasons, and now the Chargers are in a position where they can spend money. They have the fifth highest cap space. I think they have $57 million to spend. So you got to figure they're going to go out and get Herbert some weapons, potentially, and or just all around helping to build the team. The Chargers were 9-8 this year, and got to figure they're going to get better next year in some way, shape, or form. If you look at his PSA 10 silvers, those are selling for like 3,500. Prices are pretty stable so far. You haven't seen much of an off-season dip, but I think now that we're in that season's over type of thing. PSA 9, if this thing dips below 475, you could be able to pick it up for around 400, and pop's still low, 411, and it's affordable. This thing fluctuates pretty dramatically. As of during the season, it hit 950. So if you could pick it up for 400 in the off season and hold it, and Chargers get better, you could definitely see a nice bump and a potential double on this. Plus, or you hold it for long term. Herbert so far seems like he's the real deal and is going to be one of the futures of the NFL.
They didn't make the playoffs his rookie year, right?
Nope, they got eliminated.
And they obviously didn't make it this year. Yeah, so that's the thing with Herbert. We already know where he's trending, and if they get in the playoffs and put together a team as you mentioned, there could be some really big potential of people getting excited to see him in the postseason.
Yeah, you definitely see some fireworks. You saw it with Burrow.
Yep.
I mean, and Herbert has a little bit more card value going in. Like his stuff is worth a little bit more, is still worth a little bit more than Burrow's. And obviously Burrow did what he did. So, that's definitely interesting to see what the Chargers do. And if they can build a team a little bit, get them build two more wins, they're a playoff team. And then it's all up to, what Herbert can do for them in the playoffs.
I keep thinking Keenan Allen is like 35 years old, but I think he's only 28 or 29. It's crazy.
He
He
seems
seems like he's
old.
been around forever. Doesn't he seem old?
Yeah, he does seem old.
I don't think he is. I think he's still
29.
in his. Yeah.
He'll be 30 this season.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just thinking. You mentioned weapons. I mean, I know maybe a stud tight end.
Well, yeah, they got Mike Williams, they got Keenan Allen. You figure they got to add a third guy and a tight end. Obviously Eckler's solid coming out of the backfield. Um, so it's just a matter of just getting a. They need to buy two more wins. That's it.
Yeah.
Make a difference.
And that might be as simple as playing a little more defense.
Yeah. Any which way you cut it, you got to get them, at least two more wins to get in next year.
Right.
Uh, and then here's the interesting of stats. That's not even good English, but we'll keep it moving.
Interesting of stats.
Interesting of stats.
Smells like a new segment.
Yeah, my brain's not working right now. Josh Allen cards in certain respects are selling more than Mahomes cards, which I found to be quite odd. So, we had a long-standing relationship with Mahomes Silvers this year. We bought a couple raw, wound up getting nines on them. We were flipping them, so we're super familiar with that market and the price on that. Been following it for months now to find a good time to unload because the market took a hit during the season because the Chiefs weren't playing well for a little bit. But now if you look at it, I mean that those cards have dropped off the face of the planet, and selling for $1,000 when they were selling as much as 2,000 to 2,200 within the last 12 months. If you look at a Josh Allen silver PSA 9, because the pops are so low, I mean, those are selling for $700 or $800 more than the Mahomes, and Mahomes has a title and better regular season stats, better team, et cetera, et cetera. So I found it to be real interesting that pop had that much more of an impact than actual on field.
Yeah, I mean, scarce is scarce, and Josh Allen is no schlep. So, I mean, I believe it. I mean, are the Chiefs in a position where they're going to be losing their team, or
I
are
don't think
they in
so.
cap hell or anything like that?
I don't think so. As far as I know, they're bringing everybody back, and they'll potentially shake some stuff up and be in a position to play. Other than their quarterbacks coach who went to the Giants, Hip hip hooray! Hopefully, he can turn Daniel Jones around.
Well, and the
Um,
offensive coordinator went to the Giants.
what do you mean for the Chiefs?
Oh, the Chiefs. Oh, I thought the Bills quarterbacks coach went to the
So
Giants.
we
Right.
got both. We got the
Yeah,
offensive
Dayball went.
coordinator
Yeah,
Dable, and then the Chiefs quarterback coach, whatever his name is, and both are now Giants.
yeah. There was rumors that wasn't Dorsey in Buffalo, or is that the guy that came from the Chiefs? I'm confusing myself because no one cares about football coaching. But
Yeah, I don't know. Either way. So
you
yeah,
got the Bills are gonna have a whole new offense now, right?
yep.
I guess people don't care about that. Josh Allen's the man.
Yeah, he seems to be. But yeah, that's an interesting raw play. Since the PSA 9s and PSA 10s are so scarce, if you can find an Allen Prism Silver 2018 in decent shape, um, it's a solid play to see if you can grab it and for a decent price and get it into PSA. The pops on the PSA 9s are 64 and pops on PSA 10s are PSA 10s are 26. I mean, the odds of getting a 10 probably slim to none from buying it raw unless you're extremely lucky. But even a PSA 9, if you can get it, last one sold for 17.25. So I don't
Non-auto, not
non-auto.
non-auto Allen PSA 9 silver went for $1,700.
That is correct, sir.
Holy crow!
Yeah, I was hoping for a little bit stronger of a word there, but crow will do. Oh Lord, I'm stuck in a G-rated nightmare. Um, all right, so yeah, I would definitely take a look and put it on your eBay watch list or whatever it is you're gonna do, because the last few of these that have sold on eBay raw were less than a grand, and in certain cases they were like 500 or 600 bucks. So especially now that $50 levels are open and $100 levels are open, I mean that's a solid play all day long. It's in the off season. You're not in a hurry, so you don't have to spend the money to rush grade it. So it should be $100 bill plus whatever you paid for the card, if provided it's in good condition.
What we got next, sir?
I mean, we'll continue to talk about off-season stuff for football as days go, but I mean, those would be the initial things that I'd be starting to look at in the next like 3 weeks. Once we get into March, hopefully baseball's back on. Attention will move pretty much away from football completely because basketball playoffs will be starting, baseball season will be starting, football will be in the back of people's minds. So it should be your best time to look for deals in the off season if that's what you want to do.
Well, baseball's no closer after today's news.
I thought they were
Uh,
meeting on Thursday. Today is
no,
Thursday.
today's Thursday. They met this morning, 20 minutes. Meeting was over. Nothing happened.
Fair enough.
And a dear friend of the program for our off-season football
We have
talk
a
moving
friend of the
forward,
program.
a dear friend of the program has been telling me for weeks now that I should be buying every Justin Fields card I can find.
I don't know who the friend
And
of the.
now, and then I'll get a very, very mean DM later when he listens to this, because now he's going to think I'm driving the price up on Justin Fields.
Well,
But he says Justin Fields is the buy this offseason.
Um, I mean, Bears have some cap space, but otherwise, I don't. I mean, I personally, maybe I obviously I'm not the football guru or anything, but I didn't see a whole lot out of Fields this year that was like, holy shit, we got to go run out and buy him. And
I think the product of now he's got what? He's got the new coach and he's dirt cheap.
yeah,
I mean, he got nowhere to go but up in a lot of cases.
I've, and well, Prism hasn't even dropped yet
Well,
for
yeah, for
that. I mean, Prism and Select both are still not there yet. So who knows when they drop what that does to the market? We're going to see for the first time these products are coming out much later
But
than ever. So
people give these quarterbacks a lot of time, not only just as a player, but in the guy. I mean, I know multiple people still buying Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
mean,
they got the they got
they've got a longer shelf life.
they got
Period.
Mahomes' quarterback coach guy, so he's going to be the second coming. I mean,
Yeah.
but I mean, look at it this way too. I mean, Zion's another example. Guys are going to be buying Zion all off season. He's going to have another foot surgery, and who knows if he'll ever play again. But guys will still be buying him in the off season to try to get that deal.
Can't miss out.
I mean, there are people trying to scoop Trubisky. There are people, one of the guys, Kenneth, who we had on the show, and we love to watch his content. He made a massive Trubisky play. He made the video, like there was a video of him at a show, and he had like 8 or 10 Trubisky high end cards. I mean, it's a play, and but I personally wouldn't spend $1 on Trubisky.
Oh, he also did didn't he do a pretty big Minshew play too? And I think he was able to capitalize
I
on
think
that.
I think they escaped. Like they
Yeah.
got out of that just barely from what I remember seeing. They bought a ton of stuff, but they were able to like sell on a little bit of hype and weasel their way out of that Minshew lot that they bought. But there's plays everywhere. You just have to pick the right spots and find people that want to buy. Whatever it is you bought. Speaking of buying things, we recently, for the first time, bought a vintage, like a higher end vintage card on a whim and a play to see what we could do with it. It was a 1954 Willie Mays. The card was a supposed, and I say supposed for a reason, BGS raw card review at a 6. And for those of you that don't know what a raw card review is, Beckett does these things that are called raw card reviews, where they will review the grade of the card. They will put it in a plastic sleeve instead of slabbing it. It's a much cheaper way to get an idea of what a grade, what the grade may be. Usually you can get it for a lot cheaper than it would be if it was actually slabbed. And if you want to slab it, you have to pay the normal price of the slab. So this was a raw card 6. Our plan was to buy the raw card 6 BGS and then submit it over to PSA, hoping to get the same PSA equivalent. There were some suspect things, but supposedly we weren't sure if you could really tamper with raw card review. And there were certain things that didn't look right. And I'll let and you also were like, dude, I don't think this is a 6, but we submitted it anyway. So I'll let you walk through what you saw, and then we'll tell everybody how it ended up.
Yeah. So a couple things with this. Uh the sticker that goes over the top. So it's essentially in a card saver, right? It's in a card saver loader, and then it has the Beckett seal sticker that goes over top. One of the things that right from the listing I didn't like was it kind of covered one of the edges, so you couldn't see part of the card. So we knew going in, our thought process here was for the education of it too, right? We wanted to see, what how does what's Beckett grading compared to PSA and vice versa, like how that all was going to work out. So, and then, but looking at the pictures and the thing, and I have tons of graded PSA vintage cards, despite my dislike of PSA. And that I knew looking at the thing, none of my edges on a card of 5 or 6 look like the edges on this card. But we said, okay, let's check it out anyway, just because it says it's a 6, and we want to see if it's the real deal or not. So yeah, like you said, when it came in, we're reviewing it, and it just I wasn't, I had a good feeling it was not. I was worried that it was going to be a 4. I even had that dream it was going to be a 4.
Yeah,
That I told
I
you about.
remember getting the text message. He's like, dude, I had a dream last night that this thing's getting a 4. I was like, really? This is what you dream about? Um, so
But good to
the
know,
other
because that's what I put in my notes. I mean, I reviewed it, and I'm like, this thing's not a 6. I go, maybe it skates as a 5, but I felt pretty good it was going to be a 4.
And I mean, the other problem here too is there's a serial number written on the sleeve, but unfortunately the serial number doesn't correspond to anywhere that you can look it up. Beckett does not have a raw card review lookup, so you can't verify that the card that's in the sleeve is the actual card that you're buying.
And the problem is too, and I've checked this over many raw card reviews. The serial numbers that are on there actually align with actually slabbed cards, so they're
Yeah.
not unique numbers. Like I typed in the one, and this is why I thought at first maybe this was forged or fake because I typed it in. It was like a Vince Carter card, the number. I was like, well, obviously this isn't a Vince Carter. So they, even the number, the serial number they're putting on the RCRs is it has nothing to do with anything, and it's not unique to that card.
Yeah. And unfortunately for us, Monk was 100% correct, and it came back as a PSA 4. However, the pleasant, somewhat happy ending to this story is when we put it on eBay and, we put a buy it now on it, that was way over comp just to see, with vintage, there's not a ton of these copies, there's not a ton of copies floating around for the most part. And, stuff doesn't come up very often. So if somebody's looking for the card, you may get a better offer. So the card was PSA 4. We bought it the RCR for 750. And in hindsight, the guy had it up for 1500. I made a low ball offer based on a PSA 6, and he accepted it right away, which should have been sign number one that maybe there was a problem. So we bought it for 750. We submitted it. We had to spend 150 bucks on it because at the time, the $100 level wasn't open. We did get it back at the 4. We were able to turn around and sell it for $1,000, which actually set the market. Because previous comps were 750, and somebody offered us $1,000 bucks. So we still wound up losing about $100 with fees and shipping and all that, but it could have been an absolute and utter disaster. So the lesson here is, with raw card reviews, especially on older cards, definitely give it a second look when you're buying it, and make sure that, it looks like what you're getting, and don't just look at the grade on the card.
Yeah, 100% to look at the grade. Like I mentioned earlier, we had that discussion and we went for it anyway because, we just wanted to see how it would stack up. But
And
100%
because
that's the
it's fun.
takeaway. Examine the card like you would any other card and ignore the grade on the raw card review.
Yeah, I mean, if you're new to grading, also, sometimes you gotta pay a little bit of money for education, and that's basically what this was. And we have other things that we've bought and submitted just for the sake of, this is a paper card that's, from the 90s, and we are not 100% sure how PSA is going to grade. So now that we've seen it up close, we send it off and see what it comes back, and see how they grade things, so that we know for future, what kind of condition things are in and what kind of grade it's going to come back.
Yeah, I mean, because and like in addition to PSAs, I had BVG 4, 5s, and 6s as well, and comparing it to that card, I don't think I'm still of the opinion that somehow that grade was changed or I do not believe Beckett gave it a 6
Yeah.
because there's no card I have. I have BVG 5s that don't have the edge damage that card did.
Yep. 100%. So
So
once again, grade the card, not the no, go by the card, not the number. But it's a lesson that we learned, and over the course of the last year and a half, 2 years, whatever it's been since I've gotten back into the hobby, I've paid for more than a few lessons, but at the same time, it's been education well worth it. And
pays for itself
it,
later
yeah, it pays
tenfold.
for itself. As far as, like, if you're going to be in the hobby for a while, sometimes you got to pay a few bucks to learn some stuff.
You said in the hobby.
Well, I can't say in the business because it just doesn't sound. Nobody's gonna know what I'm talking about. And in the business, we could be, drug smugglers, or porn dealers. So we gotta say the hobby. All right, moving right along. Um, let's see. So we have a couple of investments for this week. I mean, actually, we went pretty investment heavy, but I know you got somebody picked out.
Oh, I can save it if you got something else to roll on to. How we looking on time there, sir?
We're already at 45 minutes. We got a couple of other things to talk about, so I think we'll save. Um, I'll shout out one quick basketball guy, and you know, this is a bit of a backtrack, I guess you could say. I mean, if we ever had a historian for the podcast, you go back. I think at one point in time I did say to don't ever touch Tyler Hero ever again and sell everything that you possibly can that has the name Tyler Hero on it.
You did.
Yes, I did. I know I did, and I'm admitting that I did. But yeah, I think it's something to keep an eye on. As we approach the playoffs for basketball, the Heater in second place, Heroes averaging 20 points a game. He is in for certain categories statistical leader on the team. Playing with Jimmy Butler, playing with Bam Adebayo. He have a good chance to make a run. There isn't a clear, I guess in my opinion, there isn't a clear like favorite in the East. Bulls are 38 and 21, Heat are 37 and 21, Bucks are 36 and 23. I mean, it's a tight race. The top five teams are separated by 3 games in the East, especially now that the Sixers got Harden. It's going to be a brawl. So if Hero shows up in the playoffs like he did a couple of years ago, which everybody is waiting for at some point for that Tyler Hero to come back,
Keep in mind that was 2020, and if you're looking at previous highs, though, I think 2020 highs will be a little bit of a anomaly.
yeah, 100%. That was the bubble series and COVID
Lost in the finals
and
in
the
2020,
boom
and
and
they got
yeah.
knocked out in the first round last year, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, if I'm not going based on that. I'm going to go based purely on statistics and price
On
charts.
on court,
No, I'm going on technical analysis for
ooh,
price movement is what I'm
all
going
right.
based on. If you look at his stuff over the course of the last 12 months, I mean, it's sitting basically at the bottom of the range. His Prism PSA 10 silver last sold for 273. Over the course of the last 2 months, 232 is the low as far as where this sold at. So, Pop's 758. It's not a bad buy for 270 bucks. He's a young kid, so if he makes any noise in the playoffs, that thing's definitely gonna to bounce up. I mean, even during the season, this thing's hit as high as 617 twice. So you could potentially double your money as you go into the playoffs. And he can hit those types of spurts where he's a very exciting player, and that type of stuff definitely makes card prices go up.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, I feel good about how football playoff values increased compared to the year before, and I feel like basketball playoffs last year were a little stale on card values. So I'd be
Well,
curious to see what's going to happen this year.
I mean, the interesting part about right now and where the markets are going to go over the next probably 6 weeks before playoffs start. I mean, cryptos right now are going sideways. You're not seeing tremendous, booms and piles of money dump into crypto. I mean, NFTs definitely still have some steam and some push behind them, but at the same time, they're cooling off a little bit. There's a bit of a black eye that's starting to make its way around the NFT world. There's a ton of scams, and it's scaring a lot of people as far as entry into this market. So, if that slows down a little bit, if crypto's going sideways, that leaves free capital to be put into cards. And you saw it in the football playoffs and some tremendous pumps on some of these cards. And I think you can see the same in basketball. I this will be the first. I mean, if it's anything like last year, you don't have that like power team. I think there's a lot of parity. So hopefully you'll get some good games similar to football. And if you get some good games and big performances from players, it's going to push the market.
We will see.
Yep. So if you're listening, which the odds are very, very high that you're not, sorry, Tyler Hero, for bashing you. And yeah, he's back. He's back on the radar and something to keep an eye on. And then we'll close out. Um, I think we'll close. I think we'll close out with some eBay stuff. And we'll save our PSA $50 level experience for next week. We did go through that and finally got something in. So we'll go over the details on all that next week. But I want to close this out before we get too far away from it. As far as our eBay buying experience, our eBay selling experience, we sold one of the PSA 9 silver Mahomes the week before the Super Bowl, or 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, when the Chiefs lost.
Yeah,
Uh,
it closed a couple hours after they lost,
yeah, it
and the
closed.
final bid on it came in hours after the game.
Yeah, and the final bid on it was 1,700 and change. Also, would have set a recent high for that card, and the guy didn't pay.
Which is an epidemic apparently, from what I'm
Yep,
reading these
and
days.
that's what that's what this is going to lead into here. So the the next day, basically the market on that card was, dropped somewhere in the neighborhood of 20%. You could easily buy one for, $300 to $400 cheaper as soon as they lost. So the guy didn't pay, and we got screwed. We wound up selling the card for $1,200. So it was a $550 swing, unfortunately, and it just is what it is. Thankfully, we dumped it when we did, or it would have been a $700 swing because it closed yesterday for $1,009. But the point is,
Well, the point,
eBay non-payers.
yeah, and the secondary point is we're just trying to move it along and go to the next project. If
Yeah,
it was my personal collection, I would have sat on it till next year. So
ex-
there's two ways of looking at it.
exactly, and but we didn't really want to sit on it for another 12 months, or not 12 months, but another 8 months or whatever it is, tying up $1,000 worth of capital that we can use for other stuff. So
Yeah, but eBay hates sellers because they know people are going to sell their stuff regardless of how they treat sellers, and they're going to treat buyers like gold because the buyers have the money and they want all the buyers' money. So there's absolutely no deterrent whatsoever. None that have any impact on anyone, in my opinion. The little penalties that are there if you don't pay three times, whatever it is. But just like anything, now getting into you know some of the real world situations going on. If you don't provide deterrence for things, it will continue to happen.
so the question becomes, is it all or nothing, or is there some sort of in between? Because I've seen the suggestion of, you input a payment method, and as soon as the auction ends, it's an automatic debit from your debit card, credit
No, because
card,
you got
whatever
all
you
these
got in.
clowns. My kid bought it, and they know my password, and luckily signed in, and then hit a button, and then please cancel this thing. My 3-year-old bought it while I was feeding them a bottle. I've gotten that message 100 times, and the first couple I let it go, and after that I said no. Be responsible. That's on you. I don't care if your kid stole your phone. Don't let your kid get your phone. So
Parenting
screw you.
advice by
Pay me.
Bunk.
Yeah, no, it's stupid.
Books in
They're again.
stores, spring 2022.
It's so bad. I mean, it's not even funny. Like people, they do that all the time. They come up with every reason in the world.
But that's the whole thing. Is it
I get you.
something?
Automatic withdrawal from your account. Yep.
Yep.
Now, to be fair, we do have. Now, I don't know how it works exactly, but we do have the ability to put an immediate pay option on any listing we have. So I don't know if that still means they don't have to pay. You know what I mean? Like, can they still just not pay it? So what does immediate pay do? Unless it does what you're suggesting, and they just automatically fund it.
Well, that's the thing. That's what eBay has to figure out, whether or not, and then if they do that, it are those auctions, do those auctions see less bids and less prices because people want the flexibility of not paying, just
Of getting
depending
out
on
of
what,
it, right?
yeah, of where it
Exactly.
closes.
And then you'll have another nightmare with returns. People are like, all right, screw you, gonna make me pay for it? I'll just send it back.
Yeah,
and then they'll initiate returns. Now that can be difficult too, and it's a pain in the butt. But if that's what people have to do to get around, having to pay for something they didn't want to, or because they're financially irresponsible and can't figure out 3 hours after Mahomes lost that the price was going to go down, and he bid it up anyway.
yeah.
So
That one stung a bit. I gotta say, we were all excited that it closed for that high, and we were able to finally, unload it and get out of it, and would have been very profitable on it. And instead, we're gonna wind up taking a small loss, and there's literally nothing we can do about it, which is frustrating. And it's definitely going to be a predicament that eBay finds itself in. A that as far as there's no penalties. B, eBay also announced that they're increasing their fees, their seller fees. So, I have to imagine the gravitation of sellers is going to continue to try and find other places to sell stuff. But if you compare prices of, PWCC and My Slabs and some of these other places compared to eBay, they're not selling for anywhere near what you're getting on eBay because the audience is so much bigger.
listen, even off eBay, I mean, even on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Discord, the fact of the matter is, after a certain value, there's not enough eyeballs on it to move. That's a fact.
Yeah,
I get it. You can save fees, and a lot of it's safe and whatever. But you're trying to move $1,000 card on Twitter. It doesn't happen often. It
yeah,
just doesn't happen.
yeah,
I've seen plenty of $10 cards that are well priced. They don't sell either. You gotta have just the right person who's going through their timeline, or whatever app they're on at the right time and say, oh hey, I want that. Whereas on these other platforms, you got thousands of people looking all the time. So
yeah,
despite the fees, it's still, I mean, it's still going to be worth it at the end of the day, in my opinion. I mean, I get the people who are anti eBay. I mean, no one likes eBay, but listen, I move more stuff there.
yeah. And that's the whole thing. If I can get 20% on the of a higher price because there's more people that are looking at it,
It
and
offsets it anyway.
yeah, it offsets the fees that I'm paying, and so it's all things to be considered because I've definitely noticed, Card Ladder started putting in PWCC data, and you definitely can see some anomalies on the charts that things on PWCC aren't closing as high, and and if you're lucky, you can move stuff in private groups, but you really got to be tuned into somebody that has the eyeballs that you're looking for, especially for higher end cards.
Yeah, you just gotta grind more. You gotta,
Yeah,
you're making connections where people can tag you and they know, oh, I know this guy likes that card, or that player. I mean, it's a lot of work to have enough of a connection and get eyeballs on off eBay, off big platform stuff. Whereas we throw it up there and it does the work for you.
yeah, 100%. And we've also ventured into some consignment stuff too. Anything that's middle range, that isn't something that we want necessarily control of when the time goes up. And if we have a bundle of cards that needs to go out, we've played around with consignment. This is no paid advertisement here. We're not getting paid by them. We started sending to DC Sports, and have found it to be efficient and easy, and really simple and smooth process. And they take an extra 2% above what eBay charges, and for the time saver of not having to photo it, to describe it, etc., it's worth it for us.
Yeah, I literally just put everything in a clean sleeve, a clean loader. They photograph the cards beautifully, and it does its job.
Yep. So, unfortunately, it is what it is, and it sucks, but, it's kind of one of those situations where eBay has you bent over a barrel, and, unless you have a big audience or some sort of access to a bigger pool of people, it's a necessary evil for the business as of now.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna send you a complete set from 2022 Tops guy.
Yeah, and that will wind up being a fire pit addition to this summer's wonderful time outside in North
Well,
Carolina.
329 of them are gonna be that, but would you pull the Wander out at least?
Well, the $7 wander.
Well, by the time you get it, it'll be $7 Wander. Yes.
Exactly. All right, guy, we have 51 seconds to close this up before we go over our 1 hour allotted time. So, you got anything else for the fine folks out there?
No guy. I'm good.
All right. He opens the show that way. He closes the show that way. Thanks all for listening. Episode 47 in the books. Follow us on social media, SportsCard ADVTG. Or if you have questions you want on the show or just need some help with anything, send us an email, info@sportscardadvantage.com. See you next week.